What is going on, musicians? It's Brendo with Powerful Progressions. And today I'm teaching you how to make your piano playing sound more emotional and more professional. Make sure you watch to the end of this video because I'm dropping some really good bombs and I'm saving the best for last. So for me, I found out there are three main techniques that I use to make my playing sound more emotional and more professional. Number one would be utilizing the sustain pedal. The sustain pedal is used to sustain a note. So if you can see on the screen, I have my sustain indicator located on the left hand corner, right above the keys. And what I'm going to show you is how the sustain pedal works. So if I were to play this G without touching the sustain, it goes in and it comes right back out. Now if I were to hold on to the sustain, as you can see, the G sustains itself. And throughout this tutorial, I'm going to be using Nothing Else by Chords to show you the examples on how to make your playing sound more emotional. Alright, so the introduction. Alright, so let me show you real quick. What you might have noticed is that I was using my sustain pedal a lot. So if you take a look at the sustain indicator, you're gonna notice that I play the chord first, and then immediately after I use the sustain, and I keep my foot on the sustain until I reach my next chord. So that way there's no dead air in my playing. And that's really the goal, is to keep away from dead air, especially if you want to keep the flow going. You want to make sure that now, let's say, for example, I didn't use the sustain. You'll see how much of a difference it makes. It sounds very amateur. All right, so that's number one, using the sustain pedal. And I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna take some time getting used to the coordination, making sure that you're playing the chord and then using the sustain afterwards. What you're gonna notice is sometimes you might forget to take your foot off the sustain. And what you're gonna get is a bunch of clumpy, mushy chords. So let me show you an example of what it sounds like without removing my foot from the sustain. As you can see, that sounds bad. Really, really bad. So now let me show you what it would sound like when I get that coordination right. It makes a big difference if you use it correctly. So the sustain pedal can either make or break your playing, but I tell you what, if you master it, trust me, your playing is going to go to the next level. Alright, so number two would be utilizing grace notes. What you might notice I do sometimes is my right hand specifically, moves a lot more than my left. And using the melody and creating my own melody in it is really what's going to separate you from playing basic to getting to that next level of sounding more professional. So I'll show you again for Nothing Else. I'm going to do the intro first plainly, and then I'm going to do it again using my own spice or adding my own grace notes to it. Now add my own grace notes. it makes a big difference. Now, the secret to grace notes is there is no secret. All you have to do is know what scale you're in and which notes you can play. So if we're in the C major scale, I know for sure I can use any of the white keys because that would be my C major scale. Now, when you start to play more gospel, more jazzy, it will be beneficial to know how to use the black keys. However, if you're just playing contemporary Christian music, or if you're just playing in your major scales, you're just learning, it's perfectly fine to just use the white keys. Let me show you what I just did. This right here is random. Nine times out of 10, the grace notes I play are random, they're not rehearsed. It just takes time to know how to flick your fingers around, practice what's good, what sounds good, and what sounds bad so you know not to do it again. So that's grace notes. And number 3, a good technique you can use is to play minor chords. So what I'm gonna do now is we're gonna switch over to the C minor scale and get out of C major so I can show you what I mean by utilizing your minor chords. So when we're using minor chords, it's really important to know your minor scale. So that way you can improvise in your right hand and hit the right notes. So I'm gonna improvise. We're gonna do this chord progression. So now I'm in the C minor scale, so just now, what you're gonna notice is I'm moving a lot with my right hand, and that's because when you're playing emotional or sad music or sad chords, you don't want to keep it too mundane. You don't want to do just chords because that could get boring really fast. So let me show you. I'm incorporating the sustain pedal. I'm showing you the grace notes, and I'm playing in a minor key. This combination will create the emotional sound that you're looking for. So let me do it again for you. Alright, so, and I'll tell you what, the only reason why I know how to play this is because I took the time to practice my minor and major scales. So if you don't know your minor scale, I'll show you right now. For C minor, it is. If you can practice this scale, memorize it, you know exactly what to play in your right hand. So you've learned the sustain, you learned grace notes, and you learned about your minor chords and minor scales. Well, if you've enjoyed this video, go ahead and like and subscribe. And also check out my description box to find out how I'm teaching more and more beginners how to play music by ear through a downloadable course. I'll see you soon.